Through the magic of theater, we welcome you to 1957. Fear not. At the conclusion of our production, you will be returned to 2019 as effortlessly as you arrived. To acquaint you with 1957, you should perhaps be informed of how the world looks. The Soviet Union will fire the initial salvo in the race for space with the launching of Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, in 1957. Dwight David Eisenhower, the former World War II Allied commander, is in his second term of office as President of the United States. It will be in this year that he will sign the Civil Rights Act of 1957. The outbreak of an influenza pandemic believed to have originated in Asia will claim an estimated 150,000 lives throughout the world, with nearly half of those being in the United States. While the original toy was modeled after the type of pie plate used by the Frisbee Pie Company, in 1957, the Whammo Company will market the Flying Frisbee, which was originally called the Pluto Platter, to capitalize on the UFO frenzy. What do things cost in 1957? A loaf of bread cost 19 cents. A postage stamp remains steady at 3 cents, and gasoline is getting up toward an outrageous 24 cents per gallon. The manufacturer's suggested retail price for the legendary 57 Chevrolet Bel Air sports sedan, direct from the dealer floor, is a mere $2,424.32. And an average new home is selling for $12,200. But before you want to stay in 1957 to cash in on those bargains, you should first know that the average annual household income is $4,494. Born in the year 1957 will be Steve Harvey, Vanna White, and Donny Osmond. The hot new movies in 1957 are 12 Angry Men and Bridge Over the River Kwai. On Broadway, West Side Story, written by the famous conductor Leonard Bernstein, one of the most beloved and successful musicals of all time, will open in 1957 to rave reviews. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, will release Jailhouse Rock from the movie of the same name in 1957. The newfangled invention, television, is beginning to become more and more popular, starting to arrive in more and more American households. In 1957, TV will add what will become popular and long-running shows such as the Western-themed Maverick, starring James Garner, and the courtroom drama Perry Mason, starring Raymond Burr. But radio is still king. Families gather around the radio each night to hear the adventures of their favorite stars. Imagination abounds as the stories unfold right before their ears. Now, you are in a radio studio as part of a live audience, about to experience a weekly radio show being broadcast live. Please pay particular attention to the instruction of the on-air and applause lights. You will also notice the Foley artist who provide the sound effects. No, there are no computer-generated sounds in 1957. As our show begins, millions of listeners at home are tuning in to our broadcast.
The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WBRC and America's favorite holiday program, the Jingle Bell Radio Hour. Brought to you by the Bloomfield Rotary Club and Stan Steele Agency.
When you need insurance for your home, your life, your car, call Stan Steele Agency, they're the best by far. 657-6101, Bloomfield.
We have a fantastic show for you this evening as we proudly present an adaptation of the timeless and beloved Charles Dickens holiday classic, A Christmas Carol. Tonight's show is directed by famed and award-winning New York City and LA director, former Bloomfield resident, Mr. Greg Cicchino. The setting is the present December 1957 in Bloomfield, New York. So without further delay, WBRC Bloomfield Rotary and Stan Steele Agency present A Christmas Carol.
Gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power. We were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort.
Get away from here, you kids. I don't want any of that noise around here. You'll be annoying at some other house before I call the cops.
It was Ebenezer Scrooge who shouted those words, chasing those caroling children out into the cold and snowy Christmas Eve, sending them running down the Bloomfield streets with fear in their hearts to replace the spirit of the season that had filled them just before his ranting stole it away from them. He has learned so very much since that fateful Christmas Eve, and his story needs to be told. The year of his astounding transformation was 10 years ago, Christmas, 1947. It was cold, bleak, biting weather. In fact, it was really a typical Bloomfield winter's day. As Scrooge trudged through the snow to his office, the grand old firm of Scrooge and Marley, Debt Collection Agency, LLC. As Scrooge glanced up at the front of his building, he noticed the sign, which was swinging wildly in the wind. He made a mental note to finally have Marley's name removed from all the company's signage and stationery. Jacob Marley, his late partner, had been dead for exactly 7 years, having died on Christmas Eve, 1940. A night which had almost as much howling wind and snow as this one. He turned his collar to the wind and wondered, what was the wind chill anyway? -50? Yes, Jacob Marley, perhaps the closest thing to a friend that he recalled, was as dead could be. Dead as a doornail, as they say. But then, why should a doornail be any more dead than, say, a coffin nail or any other fastener for that matter? It's enough to say that Jacob Marley was thoroughly dead. Scrooge had witnessed his death, signed the death certificate himself, tossed a single shovelful of dirt onto Marley's coffin in the grave, just as instructed, and further agreed to take ownership of all Jacob's earthly possessions, few as they were, pursuant to Marley's final wishes. Actually, Scrooge and Marley had made that agreement when they had first built their business partnership many years ago. Neither of them ever had any use for needless relationships like friends or family or any other such foolish entanglements. Their business was all that either of them really cared about, and so they did terrifically successfully, one might add. Yes, Marley was dead, and he no longer had a need to confuse things by remaining on that sign. Scrooge was sure that Marley would get it. He was sure of that. Scrooge even thought that Marley would most likely have removed Scrooge's name much sooner had the situation been reversed, as long as it didn't cost too much. Always a good businessman, that Marley. A good businessman.
Good morning, Mr. Scrooge. Crash it! How many times do I have to tell you to keep your bony fingers off that thermostat? Do I have to put a lock on that thing? If I do, it'll come out of your wages. The utility bills come addressed to me, or would you be the one that would rather pay RG&E?
No, sir, Mr. Scrooge. But I only raised it up to 55 degrees so the ink in my pen would flow a little more easily.
You will flow out of here permanently if you don't keep wasting my time and money.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. I won't do it again, sir.
Say that you don't, Mr. Cratchit.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel.
A very Merry Christmas to you, Uncle Ebenezer.
Close that door. What are you trying to do? Let the cold in here?
or the cold out of here. What, is your furnace broken? It's colder in here than it is outside.
Very funny. Well, we like it like this.
Well, you know, so do penguins. A very Merry Christmas, Bob.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Fred.
No, Bob, we've known each other for many, many years. Just Fred, please.
Do you have an agenda, Frederick, or is it your purpose here to just disrupt the so-called work of my already underproducing and yet somehow overpaid clerk?
Uncle Ebenezer, don't you ever lighten up? It's Christmas. I came to extend the jolliest greetings of the season. So, Merry Christmas.
Humbug. Merry Christmas. What possible reason do you have to be merry in this season or any other? You poor dirt.
Then what reason do you have to be bitter? You're richer than John D. Rockefeller.
This is a place of business, nephew. Now I'll thank you to leave us alone.
Oh, come on now, Uncle Ab. Don't be mad.
What else can I be when I live in a world full of idiots? Merry Christmas, humbug. Oh, what does it mean but a time for paying bills without money? Time for finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer. In my way, any fool who goes around saying Merry Christmas would be hung on his own Christmas tree and buried with a candy cane through his heart. Now, just get out of here and leave us to our business.
No, Uncle Ebenezer, if you'll only...
Keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine, sir.
But that's just it. You don't keep it.
Then let me leave it alone, then. Besides, it doesn't seem to have done you much good.
There are a lot of things that are good in this world that don't include money or profit.
Oh, humbug, you idiot. Your Christmas, you don't know what you're doing.
But Uncle Scrooge, I just came here to invite you to join us for Christmas dinner tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, Frederick. I'd rather start first.
But why? We don't want anything from you.
Really?
We're not asking a thing of you.
Nah, not even a gift for your charming wife, Elizabeth, is it? Or a tiny bauble for your little daughter, Rosina? Yes. Come on, Frederick. I was born at night, but not last night.
Oh, I'm really sorry you don't get it. I came here purely out of the Christmas spirit.
When you go, will you please take all the Christmas spirits with you? Good day, nephew.
Good night, Uncle. Oh, and Merry Christmas to all, and all a good night. Oh, Merry Christmas, ladies. Let me get that door for you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Scrooge, sir?
Cratchit, what are you doing? Get back to your desk.
Well, excuse me, sir, but there's two ladies here to see you.
Ladies? Good grief, what ladies? Do they have an appointment? It's almost time for closing.
No, sir, no appointment. And that's just what I told them. That we're almost time for closing. They said it's about charity, and it wouldn't take long.
Charity, you've got to be kidding me. Get rid of them.
Hello, Merry Christmas, sir. Do we have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley's been dead for years. In fact, he died 7 years ago tonight.
On Christmas Eve, how sad.
Is there a particularly less sad night to die? If so, perhaps we should all make plans to avoid all sadness and book our checkout dates now.
Oh, no, of course not. But I'm sure that Mr. Marley's generosity is well represented by his surviving partner, Mr. Scrooge.
Oh, Mr. Marley's generosity was matched only by my own.
Marvelous! We represent both the Bloomfield Rotary Club and the Bloomfield Lions Club. As you know, Mr. Scrooge, during this festive season, we all try to make some slight provision for the poor, the homeless, and the destitute.
And we are also trying to battle maladies such as blindness.
And polio.
And there's so many thousands in need of the very simplest necessities of life.
And many thousands more are in want of basic comforts right here in our little Village of Bloomfield, too.
Oh no, is Social Security going belly up just as I predicted?
Well, no, sir. Not just yet.
Mm-hmm. And welfare, is it still available?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Unemployment, food stamps, soup kitchens, still functioning?
Yes, of course they are.
Thank goodness. By what you were saying, I thought that they were all casualties of the most recent rounds of federal budget cuts. So I'm very glad to hear that isn't true. I must have heard some sort of fake news.
Yes, well now, what amount can we have your name next to?
Nothing.
Oh, so you're going to want your generosity to be anonymous.
I want to be left alone. I can't afford to make the riffraff wealthy by subsidizing their laziness. As a taxpayer, I give a ridiculous percentage of my hard-earned money to support those institutions and programs that I rattled off. Not to mention others like shelters and free clinics. Those who are in a bad way must use these services.
But many don't qualify and would rather die first than do that.
Oh, well then, if that is really what they want, then they had better hurry up and die and decrease the surplus population. Good day, ladies.
Good evening.
Mr. Scrooge, sir?
Now, what is it, Cratchit?
I was just wondering if...
Oh, yes, if you could leave for the day. Well, go ahead and say it.
Well, yes, sir. I had hoped to...
And you want the whole day off tomorrow, I suppose, huh, Cratchit?
If it's not a problem,
Well,
sir.
it is a problem. It's quite unfair. I guess that if I docked you a whole day's pay for a day you didn't even work, then you would somehow consider yourself cheated, wouldn't you, Mr. Cratchit?
Well, sir, a day's pay is...
No, but you have absolutely no problem thinking that I should pay you a day's wages for not working.
It's only once a year, sir.
Once a year. Pretty lousy excuse for ripping me off every December 25th. Well, I suppose that you must have it or you'll badmouth me all around the village. Set the alarms and lock all the windows and doors before you leave. Oh, and make sure you're here on time the next morning. Early for once would be a nice change.
As he walked the snowy Bloomfield streets on his regular route back home that blustery Christmas Eve, Scrooge felt no pang of remorse, no twinge of conscience, no sense of guilt. After all, he had never experienced such weakling feelings before. Why, then, did those oh-so-familiar streets now seem ominously foreboding to him? Why did they seem darker than they ever had? Why did his eyes dart fearfully, looking for some unknown terror, first to the left, then to the right, then to the rear, and then all around again? Somehow he knew that once locked behind his heavy metal front door, the cold fear that grabbed at his heart would be gone. Without realizing, his pace had quickened to nearly a trot as he finally bounded the 4 steps to his front door. He felt a chill run up and down his spine, which had nothing to do with the weather. Then, as he glanced at his door's knocker, the very same knocker that Scrooge had seen every single morning and every single night of each and every day, the familiar lion-head figure was replaced by the face of the long-dead Jacob Marley. Stunned with fright, he closed his eyes, shook his head, and looked again at the knocker, which then mysteriously appeared to be as normal as ever.
Humbug.
Quickly, he unlocked the door and stepped inside his house, immediately locking all 3 locks behind him.
Humbug.
Relieved and feeling a little more than silly, he then went to the kitchen and ate a piece of roaster chicken and mashed potatoes with gravy that he had waiting in the refrigerator. Even though it was nearly a couple of weeks old, Scrooge thought that it tasted just fine. Well, good enough anyway. When he had finished eating, he climbed the stairs to his bedroom. There were 12 stairs, just as always. He felt childish and ashamed that he had been frightened by... what? Nothing. Even still, He slammed his bedroom door and took the extra precaution of locking it shut, which he could not recall ever having done before. He quickly readied himself for bed. Scrooge was startled by the unusually loud clanging of his grandfather clock suddenly striking the hour. He shook his head again, embarrassed by his jumpiness. Then a second bell, a different and louder source again, and he was startled. He covered his ears, trying to shut out the sound. Then a third bell, and the noise was deafening. He felt like he would go mad. And then, after just a few moments, they all stopped at once. Slowly and cautiously, he removed his hands from his ears and felt the eerie silence, deafening silence, a silence that exploded in the room. He didn't dare move, paralyzed and confused. Then, as if sensing his fear from the floor below, he heard the 3 locks of the front door unlatch, one by one. He then could hear the front door thrown open. Scrooge then raced to his phone. There was no dial tone. The phone was dead. Panicking, he grabbed the only thing he could find for protection, his walking stick. Facing his bedroom door, the last line of defense, armed only with an antique walking stick for protection, he could hear someone or something climbing the stairs. He counted the approaching steps like a condemned man counting the pace of the executioner coming toward him. He felt his heart pounding, trying to jump right out of his chest.
12.
When Scrooge reached the 12 count, the door crashed wide open. And then, by the dim light of a solitary lamp, he saw it. It stood in the shadow, shining with a sickly bluish gleam. Its eyes were staring into his. 2 dead eyes, staring out of a dead face.
Keep away from me. I'm armed. What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are
Who are you? Ask me rather who I was.
you? All right then. Who were you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Marley is dead.
You don't believe in me, Scrooge?
I don't.
Why don't you believe your own eyes?
My eyes are old. Why? Well, I might be dreaming a nightmare, or maybe the 2-week-old chicken, mashed potatoes, and gravy that I ate has upset my stomach. It is making me see things that just can't be. No, hallucinating is more probable than a ghost. You are more likely of gravy than of grave.
Do you believe in me or not?
Marley, yes, I see that now. I believe in you, but you're dead. You're dead. Why are you here, haunting me?
It is required of every person that the spirit within should walk abroad among humanity and travel far and wide.
Oh, no. You stay away from me. I warned you. I am armed. I have a walking stick, and I know how to use it.
If that spirit has not done so in life, it is doomed to do so after death, and must wander through the world and witness happiness it cannot share, but might have shared on earth.
You are fettered and chained. Why, Jacob? Tell me why.
I wear the chains I forged in life. Of my own free will I wore them. I made this link by link and yard by yard. Is that strange to you? Money boxes, keys, and padlocks, heavy purses wrought from steel. No, I think you know this pattern well.
Me? Well, certainly do not. Why would you even say that?
Your chain was every bit as long as mine some 7 years ago on that Christmas Eve, the night that I died. You have worked endlessly, tirelessly on it since then. It is now much longer, much heavier than the one I carry. It will grow even more so as you continue on your current path through your miserable life.
Ridiculous. I don't see anything on me. There's no chains.
Neither could I, until my final condemnation. Oh, it is there, Scrooge, ponderous beyond your imagination. Trust me on that.
You were always a good businessman, Marley. I was thinking so just today, in fact.
Business! Humankind was my business. Charity, mercy, kindness, forbearance were my business. But I turned my back on these in search for wealth. I suffer for it now.
But you've been dead for 7 years. Surely you're beyond all suffering.
Listen to me, Scrooge! My time with you is short and is nearly gone. Just as I have suffered, so will you. Your life is mean and nasty, your soul is shriveled. Just as mine was, and is, and will be eternally so. But while life still beats within your chest, you still have one chance, one hope, one opportunity to avoid my fate.
Hope? What hope is that, Marley? Please tell me.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Wait, you mean 3 more ghosts? I don't think that would be
the first in the dark of the morning when the clock strikes 1, the second spirit on the stroke of 2, and the third will come when the bell tolls 3.
Couldn't they all just come at once, Jacob, and have it over with? Molly, please don't. Just spare me, please.
Look to see me no more, Ebenezer Scrooge, but remember all that I have said. Remember.
What child is this too late to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping? Whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping.
The thought of 3 more spirits scared Scrooge more than he had ever been frightened in his entire life. The chime startled him awake. He was quite surprised that he had even been asleep. How long he had slept, he had no idea. But the toll for the 1 o'clock hour caused him to hold his breath in fearful anticipation. He waited, a minute? He didn't know. Perhaps 2 minutes? Nothing. Only darkness and an eerie silence surrounded him. Finally, Scrooge exhaled and relaxed.
3 spirits. Humbug.
Confident now that it was all nothing but a dream, Scrooge rolled over to try to get back to sleep when, right there, just where Marley stood, was a blinding bright light. Scrooge covered his eyes.
You must come with me, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Come? Are you insane? 1 in the morning. Go where? How did you get in here? What do you want? Are you the spirit that Marley warned would visit me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Well, why are you here?
For your welfare and your reclamation.
Well, I don't need any of that.
Rise and walk with me.
Walk? Walk where?
Out through the window, out into the night, out on the wings of the wind. Come with me, Ebenezer Scrooge.
What? Are you insane? I'm human. I can't walk on the wings of the wind.
Just touch my sleeve and you will be upheld.
The ghost was a strange thing, small like a young girl, but not a child at all. Her long hair was white with age. She wore a pure white robe, laced at the neck and sleeves with green trim, and she carried a branch of fresh holly in her hand. But the strangest thing of all was that from her head glowed a blindingly bright white light.
Spirit, I will do what you tell me, but that light, can you turn it down some?
Is it blinding you? Of course. The light of human kindness would be blinding to you, Scrooge.
She produced a green cap that she put on her head to dim the light. There, is that better?
Yes, thank you, Spirit.
Come, touch my sleeve and we will go. Scrooge did as the spirit demanded, and at the instant he touched her sleeve, they were whisked through the window and actually did ride on the wings of the wind. Everything became a spinning, whirling blur. A feeling of nausea overcame Scrooge, but quickly passed. After some time, he had no earthly idea how long, they stopped and were standing in front of some old and stately buildings which seemed to Scrooge to be somehow oddly and distantly familiar. Around them the wind howled and the snow piled on everything, yet he felt neither the cold nor the wind. Curious.
Wait, where are we?
Look
What is
more
this
closely,
place?
Scrooge. Look very closely. There. Now do you know where you are?
Oh, yes, this is Carson Long Military Academy in New Bloomfield, Pennsylvania. Why, this was my boarding school. I grew up here. I went to school here. I had friends here. It was the best time of my life.
Friends? You, Scrooge?
Yes. These boys were worthy of the term.
What about you, Scrooge?
What do you mean?
Were you worthy of the term friend? Look, here come some boys on a hay wagon.
Yes, these are my friends, my boys. Hey, Sam, Dick, Patrick, Bruce. Hey, Ralph, Dan, Terry, it's me, Abby.
They cannot hear you, Scrooge.
Oh. Sam, Dick, Patrick, Bruce.
No, Scrooge. I mean, these are only shadows of what once was. They can neither see nor hear us.
But then, where am I? I don't see me. I mean, the young me. I was always with those boys. Oh, what memories.
It's funny how you had forgotten this place for so long. Come, Scrooge, let's see another Christmas. They walked down a path as familiar to Scrooge as any path could ever be. Once again, he was struck by the fact that he did not feel the chill of the temperature, the dampness of the snow, or the bite of the wind. They stopped to look through the window on the great room of the oh-so-familiar dormitory building. Tell me, Scrooge, what is it that you see in there?
I see a dingy room, dark and cold and drafty, where a boy sits alone and reading.
A lonely boy, forgotten by his friends. It seems they've all gone home for Christmas.
Yes, he wants to cry, but he doesn't dare.
There, he lifts his face. Do you see him?
Yes.
His name?
His name is Ebenezer Scrooge.
Look again, Scrooge. Now what do you see?
The boy. I am a bit older, but still sitting alone in the very same spot. The young girl is entering the room. Oh, it's...
Fran! Abby! Oh, Fran, what are you doing here?
Abby, I've come to take you home.
Home?
Yes, back to Bloomfield, New York. Home for good. Home forever and ever. Father's so much nicer than he used to be. Home is like heaven. Last night he said that you should come home to stay. Auntie arranged for me to come and get you. Oh, Abby, we will be together as a family.
Fran, my little sister. She had such a big heart.
Such a
Poor
delicate
Fran.
little girl. She always looked like a stiff wind could blow her away. You're right, Scrooge. Your sister did have a big heart. She died as a young woman, but had children, I believe.
Yes, just one.
Who is your nephew, your only living relative?
Frederick.
Come. Once again, Scrooge touched the spirit's sleeve, and once again the world was reduced to a whirling, spinning blur. When life came back into focus, they were on a brightly lit street of shops that left absolutely no doubt that it was Christmas time. Each little shop was decorated in its festive holiday best. They stopped in front of a shop that was even more festive than most. Do you know this place, Scrooge?
No, why? This is old Fezziwig's shop. I was an intern here. Look over there. Oh, it's him, old Chester Fezziwig, alive again. Bless his heart. Oh, old Fezziwig, no finer man ever lived.
No more work, Ebenezer. We're done for the night, Tristan. No more work today. It's Christmas Eve, boys. Time to party. Move everything out of the way. Let's see. We'll set up the bar over there. The caterer's going to need plenty of room. Oh, we'll need even more room for the dancing. Woo-hoo! As soon as you finish, I'll have your Christmas bonuses for you. So get a move on, boys. Christmas! Woohoo!
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
Well, the employees all seem to be so happy and having a good time.
Oh, yes. Oh, old Fezziwig really knew how to throw a party. What a guy. What a wonderful man.
Food and more food and drink and music and dancing and laughing and singing carols, all for his workers. Yes, it seems you got it right, Scrooge. Fezziwig knew how to party.
Oh, what a great boss he was.
What, isn't that you over there, Scrooge? Dancing? The Charleston?
Yes. Yes. It's Victoria. My Victoria. We went together for a long time. I've almost forgotten just how gorgeous she was, and how wonderful. We were so much in love.
Oh, Ebenezer, this is such a beautiful engagement ring. This is the greatest Christmas present ever. You are quite the romantic, Ebenezer Scrooge. I love you so much. I can't wait until we are married. You have made me the happiest woman in the world.
Victoria.
It was not a very big celebration, really. Fezziwig couldn't have spent very much on the affair, but certainly enough to make these silly people be filled with gratitude. You shouldn't really get as much credit as these people seem to be giving him.
It isn't that, Spirit. He had the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our work a pleasure or a pain. He cared about his employees.
What is it, Scrooge?
Nothing. Let's leave now.
These are merely shadows of things that were. They are as they were.
I know.
Don't blame me.
I get it, but I just don't want to see any more, so take me back.
We're not done yet, Scrooge. Suddenly, a fog enveloped everything so that Scrooge couldn't even see his hand in front of his face. After a minute, and just as suddenly as it had come, the fog cleared, and they were at Scrooge's office. But it seemed to Scrooge that it was years ago, as he had not yet seemed to have quite reached middle age yet. He saw himself sitting alone at his desk at Scrooge and Marley, smiling over the day's figures. The door opened. In came Victoria, her eyes red from crying.
Ebenezer, I have given a lot of thought to what you've said, and I still have to say no. I've loved you, but I've seen a change in you that I just can't handle. I've tried to deny the truth to myself, and I've even tried to overlook things, hoping that you would change back to the man that I loved years ago. I even hoped that I could learn to accept the changes in you somehow, but I just can't. I've seen your love for me become replaced by a love for another, a golden other. You love money now, the having and the holding and the pursuit of money. I can never replace that drive within you, and I cannot, and I will not compete with it for your affection. You may say that you love me, and maybe in some way you still do, but money is your true love and your true desire. So I release you, Ebenezer. Here is the engagement ring. Please believe me when I say that I truly wish you the best, and I hope that you find lasting happiness someday. Goodbye, Ebenezer.
My Victoria.
You didn't say anything.
No, I didn't.
She went. Out of the room, out of your life.
Take me back home.
One shadow more.
No, take me back.
One glimpse of Victoria at still another Christmas.
No, no more.
Happy in a home that might have been your
Take
home.
me back.
Laughing with her children who might have been your children.
No, haunt me no longer, do you hear me? Haunt me no longer.
This concludes the first part of our presentation of Charles Dickens' immortal classic, A Christmas Carol, exclusively on WBRC and America's favorite holiday program, the Jingle Bell Radio Hour, brought to you by Bloomfield Rotary and the Stan Steele Agency.
When you need insurance for your home, your life, your car, call Stan Steele Agency, they're the best by far. 657-6101, Bloomfield.
We will take a 20-minute break from our show for our studio audience to visit our refreshment area and to stretch legs and catch breaths. Welcome back to our production of Dickens' classic, A Christmas Carol, broadcast live on WBRC and America's favorite holiday program, the Jingle Bell Radio Hour, brought to you by the Bloomfield Rotary Club and Stan Steele Agency.
When you need insurance for your home, your life, your car, call Stan Steele Agency, they're the best by far. 657-6101, Bloomfield.
And now, part 2 of A Christmas Carol.
In a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head.
Somehow, Scrooge found himself waking up in his own bedroom. He wasn't at all sure if he had just dreamt about being haunted by Jacob Marley and the ghost of Christmas past, or if it had truly happened. Everything just all seemed so real. In any case, he was startled, fully awake by the church bells chiming, announcing the 2 o'clock hour. Scrooge was confused because he had never even noticed the church bells before. At least none so loud, and certainly not this early in the morning. Had they somehow moved the steeple to right outside his window? Or were they the bells of St. Bridget's, or St. Peter's, or even St. Catherine's, perhaps? Regardless, they were as clear, as the saying goes, as a bell. Determined to be fully prepared for the next spirit, just in case this was not merely some crazy nightmare, he jumped from his bed to wait for the spirit's arrival, maybe even catching it unaware. Oh yes, turnabout would be fair play. Seeing no one or no thing, he did notice a light shining from beneath the other side of his bedroom door. Slowly and quietly, he crept over to the door and then he opened it, quickly, but cautiously.
Well, you must be the legendary Ebenezer Scrooge. Look upon me, man, and know me better. I am the spirit of Christmas present. And please don't make one of those predictable and tiresome jokes.
Jokes, me? I don't do jokes. What do you mean by legendary?
You are quite the topic when all my brothers and sisters get together.
You have many brothers and sisters, Spirit?
Almost 2,000. One for every Christmas since the first.
The ghost of Christmas spirit was a giant of a figure, at least twice the height of Scrooge and of tremendous girth. His hair and his beard were jet black, and his face fairly glowed with jolly. He wore a green floor-length robe trimmed in gold and a crown of holly on his head. He sat regally on a massive golden throne, and all around him were tables of food in such great quantity that there seemed to be enough to feed the whole country. The spirit himself held a massive turkey leg in one hand and a golden wine goblet in the other. Scrooge stared at him, more it seemed in wonder than in fear. Then the spirit laughed.
Oh, you look baffled, Scrooge. Have you never seen the likes of me before?
Never.
What? You've never even walked with any of my sisters and brothers?
Never.
Well then, come, walk with me now.
Well, I've seen the Christmases of the past, and they weren't very merry.
Oh, come along, man, come along. I'll show you the Christmas of today. Touch my robe and we'll be on our way.
As soon as he touched the sleeve of the spirit's robe, the sensation of whisking through the air once again overtook Scrooge. He couldn't tell toward where they were moving, as everything was shrouded in thick gray mist, like being up in the clouds, which, as Scrooge reasoned, they just might have been. In mere moments, however, the feeling stopped instantly, and everything was clear once again. Scrooge found that they were standing on a mountaintop that certainly could not be Bristol Mountain. Scrooge had lived in Bloomfield for nearly his whole life, and he knew that there wasn't a mountain around which was nearly as large as the one on which they stood. From that vantage point on top of that mountain, Scrooge thought that he could see nearly the entire earth.
There lies below you the world. Look, Scrooge, and tell me, what do you see?
Well, I see the brightness of billions of Christmas lights twinkling on millions of homes. And family and friends join together.
Making merry.
Yeah, over nothing. And I see children playing with their bright new toys.
Laughing.
Well, I see the sick in their hospital beds.
Smiling with a new hope.
Well, there's a salt mine where miners are working deep in the bowels of the earth.
And even they are happy on Christmas.
Yes, they seem to be. Oh, look way out there on Lake Ontario, a ship tossed by the wind. On the deck, there's two sailors shaking hands.
To wish each other joy.
Yes, I see all of that.
And all of that is the magic, the spirit of Christmas. Come with me now. There's a miserable room in a miserable four-room house where lives a man you know well. Look there, Ebenezer Scrooge. Do you see them?
Yes, I see them, but I have no idea who they are. You said I know them?
They are Bob Cratchit's wife, Christine, and their 6 children. Grace, Faith, Dominic, Bobby, Sarah, and Tim.
6 children? 6? Well, I had no idea.
Well, maybe you would have known if you had ever bothered to ask.
Well, wait a minute. I only see 4 kids.
The eldest, Grace, is hiding in another room to surprise Bob when he gets back from Christmas Mass with Tim. Tiny Tim.
Then the door burst open and in burst Bob Cratchit. He carried a little boy on his shoulders, giving him a pony ride. The boy was carrying a crutch. They were both laughing heartily.
Merry Christmas, my family. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Daddy Tim, Merry Christmas!
Welcome home, Bob. Merry Christmas.
Hello, my love. Hi, kids. Now, wait, let me get my coat off.
To Scrooge, this seemed to be a totally different Bob Cratchit. He was confident and strong. He didn't seem at all like the meek and timid clerk that Scrooge thought that he knew. Cratchit was, well, happy.
Hey, where's Grace? I was sure that she'd be here by now.
Carlton said she can't make it over today, Daddy. She said that she's way too busy. She said that maybe if she has some time, she can visit us tomorrow.
Not coming on Christmas? It just won't be the same without Grace.
Here I am, Daddy.
Grace, you got me again. Well, now that you're here, Christmas will be perfect.
You should have known, Daddy. There's no way I would ever miss Christmas with my family. Besides, who would want Mommy at the feast? I would. Me too. I can help at the table and eat everything. Mommy, I'll go get dinner ready to put on the table.
Thank you, Grace. You're a big help. I'm exhausted after being on my feet all day.
Come on, Sarah and Faith. You two can give me a hand. Bobby and Dominic, you can sit at the table. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't wait any longer.
The smell of that turkey is driving me crazy.
I can't wait for the dessert. Mom's sweet potato pie.
Let's get going. Come on, I'm starving.
And how was Tim at church?
Why, he was as good as gold, and better.
I was as good as gold, Mommy. As good as gold.
He gets very thoughtful sitting in church, and he thinks so deeply. He told me he wanted everyone to see him at Mass on Christmas Eve.
And why is that, Tim?
Because I am disabled, and if people see a boy with a disability on Christmas, well, maybe they can remember that this is God's day. It was God that made the lame to walk and the blind to see.
Oh, tiny Tim.
Well, wasn't it, Mommy?
Of course it was, sweetheart.
Right, Daddy?
Who else, Tim?
And one day he'll make me walk again. Someday I'll just throw away my crutch and never have to use it again.
That's right, Tim. Why, you're getting stronger every day. Just feel his arm, Mommy. Feel his arm.
Feel my arm, Mommy. Feel my arm.
Oh, wow, you're getting to be a regular Steve Reeves.
Who's he, Mommy?
You know, Hercules from the movies.
Yay, I'm getting to be like Hercules. Hercules. Hercules.
To the table, everyone. Dinner is served.
Oh, it seems like such a small feast for such a large family. It was lovely prepared, but it barely seems enough for two, let alone 8. That turkey isn't much bigger than a medium-sized chicken.
Scrooge was struck by the enthusiasm shown by each and every Cratchit crowded around that table. As Bob rose to carve the turkey, the family quieted in anticipation of a patriarchal determination.
Mrs. Cratchit, Cratchit children, I declare this to be the finest turkey ever roasted in the entire history of turkey roasting. I've never seen a more beautiful turkey. Certainly thing of a Norman Rockwell painting. And for our bellies.
Amazing how pleased they are at, what was it that you said? Oh yes, such a small feast for such a large family. Apparently they appreciate whatever they can afford. Then again, maybe their love for each other grows that appreciation.
I didn't know. I just didn't even know.
Dominic, why don't you offer the blessing?
Of course. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, please bless this feast and may it nourish our bodies as you do our souls. May it help to make us better servants for you. May we be ever mindful that you are our great and glorious Father. Amen.
Amen.
Beautifully said, Dominic.
Great job, Dominic. And now, everyone dig in.
Quite a strange family, eh, Scrooge?
Strange? What are you talking about, Spirit?
Well, they seem so happy and they don't even realize that they're as poor as dirt.
Attention, please. Attention. A toast. I declare this to be the finest success of Mrs. Cratchit since our wedding. There has never been a finer meal put before us. Everyone agree?
Here, here.
Well, thank you all.
Further, I propose a Christmas toast to the sponsor of this wonderful feast, Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge.
There you go. Thank you, Cratchit.
Robert, you cannot be serious. We were able to have this meal in spite of him, not because of him.
Oh, Christine, now please, don't be like that. Think of the kids. After all, I have a job, and there are so very many people who are unemployed, and, well, it's Christmas.
Then I'll drink to him for your sake and the days. To Mr. Scrooge.
To Mr. Scrooge. Now, lastly, I'll propose a toast to all of us, the Cratchit family. May God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.
You seem so very happy. So very little.
Love, a family, Christmas, a certain formula for happiness, it seems. But I'm not so sure you agree, Scrooge. Look now, the family gathers around the fireplace, and Tiny Tim leads them in a Christmas carol before heading off to bed.
Oh, come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant.
Tiny Tim is so pale, so thin. What's his affliction, Spirit?
He, like so many others worldwide, is afflicted with polio.
Spirit, tell me, will Tiny Tim live? Does Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat at the Christmas dinner table, and by the fireplace a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unchanged by the future, the child will die.
No, no, Spirit. Say he will be spared. Say he will live.
Do you worry? Why, if he will die, then he had better hurry up and die and decrease the surplus population.
Spirit, no. There must be others in the world, poor and needy.
Is there no social security? Is there no welfare?
No, Spirit, I didn't mean...
Are there no food stamps? No soup kitchens?
Spirit, I was...
With no further discussion, Scrooge touched the spirit's arm, and all things disappeared into a deep, dank fog. When the fog quickly cleared, they stood in a bright, cheerful room in a bright, cheerful house, crowded with bright, cheerful people, all laughing that infectious laugh that seems to go from person to person, like a pandemic, causing each one to laugh a long, deep belly laugh. What is more contagious than laughter? Soon, Scrooge found himself struggling not to burst out laughing. How ridiculous, he thought. These were complete strangers. Scrooge didn't even know why they were laughing, and they were infecting him with their laughter. Just then, Scrooge heard a familiar laugh. Absolutely the loudest laugh of all. The ringleader, the alpha laugher. It was unmistakable. It was his nephew, Fred.
And then he said Christmas is, what was it he said? Humbug! Yeah, that's it, humbug! And he believed it, too!
What a stick in the mud you must be, Fred. What is a humbug, anyway?
Oh, humbug? Well, I don't know, Elizabeth. Beats me. I never heard anyone else use it, but he's one funny old dude. Oh, sure, he could be so much less bitter. You know, his issues have issues, but his issues also have their own punishments, and, well, I don't hold them against the old guy.
Issues, that's for sure. Well, he is very rich. At least that's what you tell me. But that in no way makes up for his crappy outlook on life. Although I'm positive he thinks it does. Anyway, we'll never see a penny of his fortune, that's for sure. I don't want a thing from him, anyway.
Scrooge had never seen his nephew Fred's wife, Elizabeth, before. She was very beautiful, exceedingly pretty, almost unfairly so, with a gorgeous face and blonde hair styled to accentuate her beautiful features. Her blue eyes were sunny and twinkling, even without trying.
In reality, his money's no use to him since he spends none of it except on absolute necessities. He does no good with his money. He doesn't make himself comfortable, and he lives like he lives like a pauper. He definitely doesn't give it away, certainly not to charity. I think money is just a way for him to keep score, and that's all. I believe that he plans to try to prove the old saying about not taking it with you to be completely wrong.
I have no patience with him or anyone like him, if there is anyone like him. Oh, I hope not.
You know, I feel sorry for him, I really do. You know, I couldn't be mad at him if I tried. He's lonely and doesn't even know it. He has no friends whatsoever. And when his only family invites him to Christmas dinner, he refuses. So who loses? Him, Uncle Ebenezer.
Well, he lost out on a terrific dinner with excellent company. Oh, yes.
In any case, I plan to invite him here every single year, whether he likes it or not.
You certainly come from some strange genes, my love.
Scrooge felt an odd emptiness deep inside. He considered himself fortunate, however, that he was able to quickly dismiss it. As the guests sang song after song and then played party games like charades and 20 questions. He'd never been much of a singer, but he felt that he easily would have won most of the games. As much as he hated to admit it, it did seem like a lot of fun.
We must leave, Scrooge.
Can't we watch just one more game?
My time is short.
Scrooge took a good look at the ghost of Christmas present. He could not believe that the spirit seemed to now be so much older than when Scrooge had first seen him. His hair and beard had turned from jet black to completely white. And Scrooge also noticed that the ghost now seemed to stoop a little. It occurred to Scrooge that the spirit seemed to have aged to a very old being in the short time since he was first in his house. Shaken, Scrooge asked the spirit about his changed appearance.
My time is short.
The spirit said again. It was then that Scrooge saw 4 small feet, bony feet, jutting out from beneath the spirit's floor-length robe. 4 feet that were clearly not those of the spirit itself. Overcome with curiosity and pointing at the feet, Scrooge said,
What are those? Obviously not yours.
The ghost of Christmas present lifted the robe slightly to reveal 2 children, a boy and a girl. They were every bit as bony as their feet had suggested. They were barely clothed and completely covered in filth. They appeared to be more animal than human. Scrooge was shocked and appalled at the sight of them, but all that he could manage to say was,
Are those your children?
These are humanity's children, and they cling to me out of desperation. This boy is indifference. This girl is want. Beware them both, and all that they are and all that they mean. But most of all, beware this boy, indifference. He brings doom.
Well, isn't there some place for them to get help, to get food, the simple necessities?
Are there no soup kitchens? Is there no welfare?
Scrooge felt a slam to his brain as the spirit, for a second time, used his own words against him. The world was once again quickly enveloped in an overwhelming fog.
Spirit, wait, come back!
Are there no soup kitchens? Is there no welfare?
Scrooge was alone again. He didn't believe that he ever felt as empty and as lonely and, well, as ashamed as he did at that very moment. Scrooge stood with his head bowed with the words of Marley haunting his memory.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits. The third will come when the bell tolls 3.
As suddenly as it had come, the fog disappeared and Scrooge found himself on a darkened, deserted street. Scrooge could feel himself shivering violently, not so much from the cold and the icy wind, but rather out of pure fear, because coming toward him out of the inky darkness, he saw a solitary phantom, draped and hooded all in black, gliding rather than walking, as a mist rolls in along the ground. It slowly, gravely, silently approached. Scrooge fell to his knees. The specter's clothing shrouded its head, its face, and its body, leaving nothing visible except a single hand, which was no more than a chalky white bones of a skeleton. It stopped in front of Scrooge, but didn't speak or move for a long time, its robe rippling in the wind. It was just as tall as the prior spirit, but a mere stick figure in comparison to the rotund image that had left Scrooge only moments before. The very air itself seemed static with despair and gloom. Finally, the spirit spoke.
I am the ghost of Christmas, yet to come. I will show you the shadows of things that have not yet happened, but will happen in the time ahead.
Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any other spirit I have seen. Since I believe that you are only here to do me good, and as I really hope to change the way that I think and believe and act and speak, I will do whatever you tell me to do.
Come, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Unlike with the prior spirits, there was no need to touch a sleeve. All Scrooge had to do was follow the spirit's lead, and the entire world around them changed with every step the phantom took. In short order, the spirit stopped and pointed.
Look there, Scrooge. Do you know that street?
Yes, my business is here. I don't know what that building over there in the corner where the Agway building should be is.
It will be built in time, yet before you. Come.
They entered a building that Scrooge knew to be the Exchange, where he would conduct much business each day. He noticed that at his accustomed place was occupied by another.
But where am I? Who is that at my regular desk by the fireplace?
Do you recognize those two men?
Yes, I know them very well. They're my friends. We do business together.
Listen then to what they say.
Well, old Scratch has finally gotten his at last, huh?
So I heard. When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What was the matter with him? I thought he'd never died. What's he done with his money?
Oh, I don't know. Left it to his business, I suppose.
Then I guess the big question is, to whom did he leave the business?
He hasn't left it to me. That's all I know.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't give it away.
It's probably going to be a real cheap funeral. I can't think of anyone who'll go.
I might go.
Really? You?
Yeah, if a buffet lunch is provided, sure.
Well, I guess then, if you're going, I'll go. You know, now that I think about it, I might have been his best friend in the world. We actually stopped and talked once, and it wasn't even about business.
Really? What on earth did you talk about?
How old, isn't it? He said yes. That was it. The whole conversation. So I think I really must have been his best friend.
Yeah, you must have been his best buddy, all right. Well, let me know if you're definitely going to go. Maybe we can go together. He'd certainly appreciate the irony of us carpooling.
Okay, I'll let you know. Well, I better get back to the office. I'll call you if I'm going.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Who are they talking about? Who died?
Come.
Where are we now? This can't be Bloomfield. If it is, I've never seen this part of town.
Like in all towns, this is a part where those who have little to claim in this world secret away from the rest. Unless one has a need, it is hidden from those who do not. Small villages, big cities, it does not matter. There are always those who are either cast or choose to be isolated from gentlefolk such as you, Ebenezer Scrooge.
I thought that these sort of places left with Herbert Hoover years ago.
Did you? Poverty, hunger, homelessness, and need do not go away that easily. Look and learn, Scrooge.
Scrooge saw an old man calmly smoking a pipe in a makeshift tent fashioned by curtaining of miscellaneous tatters hung up on a line. Two women, both carrying bundles, and a man entered his shop.
Company! Well, well, well. If it isn't the Three Musketeers, Miss Clara, the laundry queen, Miss Minnie, the cleaning woman extraordinaire, and Mr. Kelvin, our most solemn undertaker. Must be that some unfortunate has met an untimely demise.
Hey, hello, Joe. Yeah, it seems that we all managed to hit a little bonus when the tightwad himself died. Me, well, he gave me his laundry to do the morning of the day he died. A little gift for Clara, I guess.
Yeah, I heard he died. I should have figured you three would have been Johnny on the spot.
Ain't we always? I come to clean his place late in the day and he must have just died. He was stiff as a board, but still a bit warm. I got my dude, then called 911. The Ontario County Sheriff came right away and even thanked old Minnie for doing my civic duty.
Hey, can we do our business, Joe? It's not good for me to be seen here.
Yeah, let him go first. He gives me the creeps.
Hey, the feeling's quite mutual, madam. Believe me.
Okay then, Calvin, what do you got?
Calvin, the undertaker, reached into his coat pocket and removed a small bag, opened it, and poured the contents onto the table in front of Joe.
Gold pocket watch and chain, 2 gold cufflinks, and a gold tie clasp.
How'd you get them?
I removed them just before sealing the casket.
Sneaky.
Creepy. See, I told ya.
Look, not one person came to mourn him. No one to view the closing of the casket. I figured there was no one to claim the goods, and no one cared. Certainly no one would visit his grave. Why should they be buried with him? Who'd really ever know?
Joe removed a jeweler's hoop from his pocket, and putting the eyepiece in place, he studied the pieces.
I hate to disappoint you, Kelvin, but these are only gold-plated.
I should have figured he wouldn't spring for good stuff.
The best I can do is $20 for the lot.
That's it?
Well, hey, I gotta resell this for some profit, you know. Hey, if you think you can do better somewhere else, I'll be here when you come back.
Nah, I'll take it now and be done with it.
The undertaker took his money and left in a hurry. Clara, the laundress, was next.
Here you go, Joe. 5 dress shirts, almost like new, and 3 pair of wool pants in excellent condition. I might add that. And you will also find 3 bath towels, and I'm sure they were hardly ever used, if you get my meaning. I figure there ain't much call for underwear and socks, so I just tossed them.
Wait, boxers or briefs?
Ugh.
I'm just curious.
Oh, tidy whities, of course. No one ever tighter than him, you know.
Joe looked over the clothing and said,
I've always been a soft touch for the ladies. $15 and I'm probably gonna lose money.
Oh, my heart just bleeds for you. Done.
Clara, too, left immediately. Scrooge watched in horror and disgust at the apparent disrespect for a dead man. Finally, Minnie the cleaning woman displayed her spoils, which she carried in a large cloth sack.
Now, I know that this is some high-quality stuff, Joe.
Well, let's see here. Silk-fitted sheets, silk covers, pillow covers with goose-down pillows, and a handmade bed cover. Pretty nice stuff. Are these from his deathbed?
Of course. He was easy enough to move, even as a stiff. Wasn't much to him to begin with.
So you grabbed these before calling the cops, huh?
Like I said, I got my due and then alerted the authorities. No one is the wiser.
You got guts, Minnie. I'll say that for you. Nothing you ever brought me became unprofitable. Hey, I'll give you $30 for the bundle. But don't you dare tell the others. I got a business to run. Tell them I gave you 15. That'd be about the fair market value.
You're a decent man, Joe.
Spirit, I see. The case of this unfortunate dead man might be similar to my own fate, but I can change.
Suddenly, all went completely black, and the surroundings instantly changed, frightening Scrooge.
What happened?
You know where we are now.
No, I don't.
Tell me what you see.
This is a cold, dark, sterile-looking room with tile floors, stainless steel tables. All around on the walls, it looks like they're a series of very large filing cabinets. Oh, this is a morgue!
Open drawer 42. There, right next to where you stand.
No, I'm afraid there might be a dead body in there. Let's get out of here.
Open the drawer!
Trembling, Scrooge reluctantly did as the spirit said, pulling back his hands several times. Finally, he slowly pulled open the drawer and looked inside.
It's me!
Yes, you are dead, Ebenezer Scrooge.
But why am I alone? Why isn't there anyone getting me out of this horrible place?
There is no one who cares to claim you, to mourn you. No one at all.
Not one voice saying a prayer? Not even one tear shed? Must I be alone in the dark forever?
Alone.
Oh, no, there must be someone. I have friends.
Those men that we heard at the exchange, they were your friends. Or so you said.
Surely somewhere there is sorrow.
Yes, there is. Come.
As Scrooge looked up at the spirit, they were immediately placed in the Cratchit household. Mrs. Cratchit and 5 of the children were seated around the table. Some reading, some sewing, some just staring into space. It was quiet and movement was barely perceptible.
Dad seems to be a little bit late tonight.
He seems to walk a little more slowly these days.
Yes, he does. And yet I remember him walking very quickly sometimes, even with Tim on his shoulders. But Tim was so light, and your father loved him so much, he was never a burden to him.
The door opened and in came Bob Cratchit.
Hello, everyone. Sorry that I'm so late.
Well, you're not that late, Bob. Welcome home.
It's good to be home. Oh, I ran into Fred Chandler, Mr. Scrooge's nephew, on the way home. He spoke for a while. Such a nice man. He noticed that I seemed a little distracted. He asked me if there was something wrong. I told him what had happened. He said that he was deeply saddened and was very sorry for my wife and children, too. He told me that if we needed anything at all, you should go to him. He really meant it. I could tell. What a good man.
Spirit, is it? Did Tiny Tim...
Come, Scrooge.
As the ghost's skeletal hand pointed, they were immediately transported to another place at another time.
What is this, a cemetery? Why haven't I seen enough of death?
Look, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Before I look, please answer one thing. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are these the shadow of things that may be?
Look.
If a man changes his ways, why can't he change the course of the future?
Look, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, that's Bob Cratchit kneeling there. Is it? Oh, did Tiny Tim die?
Hear the Father mourning for the Son.
I wish that you could see this place, Tiny Tim. The grass is beautiful. More beautiful than you've ever seen. And flowers, too, and birds, and trees. It's so peaceful. You'll like it here, Tiny Tim. There'll be no pain. And you can finally throw away your crutch. And you won't be alone either. I'll come every Sunday, right after Mass, just as I promised. And as I walk home, I'll feel your tiny weight on my shoulders, just the way we used to walk. Right, Tim? And I'll hear your laugh, and I'll see your smile, and I'll think to myself, I'll think he's here, just as he always was. He's here. Tiny Tim. Oh, Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim, born 1941 and departed this life 7 years old. Must this be? Must this father cry out his heart on a gravestone? Tell me this must not be.
There was a man named Ebenezer Scrooge. He might have saved this boy.
He will, he will. Let me have one chance, one more chance. It was promised to me that if I change my ways, I will honor Christmas in my heart and in my soul, and I will try to keep it all year long. I will live in the past and the present and the future. The spirits of Christmas will thrive in me, I swear. Only tell me that I can sponge away the writing on that headstone. Tell me.
The spirit said nothing more. Scrooge lunged and clutched at the ghost's leg with all his might as he sobbed uncontrollably, saying,
Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me.
Scrooge opened his eyes and found that he was in fact not grasping the spirit's bony leg, but instead his bedpost. His bedpost. He quickly let go and looked all around the room. His room. The sun was streaming through his window. He instantly became ridiculously giddy and excited and a lot confused. He giggled out loud.
This is where old Jacob stood. That was where the spirit of the past was, and that's where the ghost of Christmas present sat. Predictable and tiresome jokes, I get it now. Christmas presents. It's all true, it really happened.
It was just then that the church bells rang out. Scrooge giggled, Scrooge laughed.
Oh, those bells, those beautiful, wonderful bells. Gong, gong, gong.
Unexpectedly, it occurred to him that he didn't even know what day it was. Scrooge was suddenly afraid that Christmas Day had passed during the visit from the spirits.
Oh, no. Tell me that I didn't miss it. Oh, please. No, I couldn't have missed it. Oh, could I? Oh, please. No.
Panicking, he rushed to the window and flung it open and saw a young boy passing in the street.
Oh, you there, young fellow.
Scrooge wondered to himself if they even called boys young fellows anymore.
Who? Me? It wasn't me. I didn't do nothing.
Yes, I know that. Please, can you tell me what day it is?
What day? What are you kidding? Where you been? It's Christmas Day.
Oh, where have I been? Christmas Day. I didn't miss it. I didn't have to wait for another year. The spirits did it all in one night. They did it all in one night. Marvelous, miraculous.
His head was spinning with thoughts of the new Scrooge.
Tell me, big guy, do you know the farm right outside the village?
Scrooge reasoned that big guy was probably better than young fellow these days, although he wasn't quite sure why.
Besner's farm? Of course I do. It's right by my house.
Oh, what a brilliant kid you are. Do you know they still have the prize turkey for sale? That huge one?
The one as big as me? The one they call Big Billy? I saw it there 15 minutes ago.
Oh, fantastic. Go buy it.
Yeah, sure. What? My good looks?
Oh.
Get out of here, big guy.
No. Come back. I'm serious. Tell them to put it on my tab. Ebenezer Scrooge. That's me. They know who I am. It doesn't matter what it costs. And if they have a problem, they can call me at 657-4440. Have them deliver it to Bob Cratchit on Maple Avenue. Tell them not to tell Cratchit who sent it. That's important. Don't tell them who sent it. Here's $10 for your troubles, and if you can get it there within the hour, I'll give you another 10.
All right, I'll be back for sure. Don't you put your wallet away.
Oh, never again, never again.
As the boy tore off, Scrooge shouted,
Oh, and kiddo, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Scrooge.
Scrooge felt goofier than any goofy kid ever was. He dressed as fast as he could. Feeling reborn, he wanted to look his absolute best. Peering into the mirror, he could hardly recognize himself.
Oh, what is that I'm wearing? Why, it's a smile. A genuine ear-to-ear smile. Me, and smile, and what do you know? Oh, it looks great on me.
Scrooge danced down the stairs, counting the steps all the way.
10, 11, 12.
And skipped out the door whistling. He passed dozens of people on their way to church on that marvelous, beautiful, bright Christmas morning.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
He did not miss Merry Christmasing a single person on the street. Most of them looked shocked to hear that wonderful, cheerful greeting from old Scrooge. He felt wonderful. He passed a choir of carolers. Many of them were the very same children that he had chased away the day before.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Applauding and cheering, he paused long enough to toss a $50 bill into their donation bucket, saying,
Oh, you all sound so beautiful, just wonderful, exactly like angels. Merry Christmas!
Oh, Merry Christmas!
He had the further good luck of running into the two ladies that had stopped by his office the day before, representing the Bloomfield Rotary Club and the Bloomfield Lions Club. Running into is not quite right. He could tell that they were trying to avoid him, but he followed them across the street and tracked them down. He laughed at the thought that they probably believed that he had become a stalker.
Good morning, ladies. Merry Christmas. A very Merry Christmas to you both.
Mr. Scrooge?
Mr. Scrooge.
Yes. I hope that you had a successful fund drive, and if it's not too late, I would like the honor of adding to your total.
Scrooge reached for his checkbook and asked,
To whom should I make the check?
He wrote them a check that made their eyes pop right out of their respective sockets. Scrooge was having a blast at last.
Mr. Scrooge, this is unbelievably generous.
$2,000? Mr. Scrooge, I can't believe it.
Not enough? Then here, I have $200 cash in my pockets. If you need more, stop by my office tomorrow. Believe me, there are quite a few back payments in there. Merry Christmas, ladies. I gotta run. I have a dinner to get at my nephew's house, and I don't want to be late. We'll be playing charades. Merry Christmas, ladies. Merry Christmas.
Scrooge learned that it is a whole lot of fun to shock, to truly shock people in a good way. His nephew Fred nearly fell over when Scrooge showed up at his door, welcoming him like the most honored of all guests. Scrooge thought that Fred's friends were wonderful, and they genuinely liked him too. He found Fred's lovely wife Elizabeth to be an absolute doll. They hit it off right away. Scrooge's favorite part was when she said,
Uncle Ebenezer, you are so much fun. You're nothing like Fred described you.
No, but this is how my mother always described him. I always knew that he had to be hiding in there somewhere.
The dinner was really fantastic, and Scrooge found that the company was awesome. Old Scrooge had so much fun playing parlor games, singing songs, and, well, laughing from the belly so much that it hurt. And when it was over way too soon, he couldn't wait until the next Christmas yet to come. But of all the wonderful shocking that he did that Christmas day, none was more fun than at the office the following morning. Scrooge had arrived early enough to be at his desk before Bob Cratchit could sneak into the office. Late by 5 minutes, of course. Cratchit tried tiptoeing his arrival, but Scrooge was ready for him. Using his classic voice, he growled,
Cratchit, what do you mean by waltzing in here at this time?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a little late, Mr. Scrooge. I was trying to get...
Well, I don't want to hear it. I warned you, Cratchit. Now I'm afraid that you leave me no choice but to triple your salary.
But sir,
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's right, Bob. I'm tripling your salary. And how do you think this sounds? Scrooge and Cratchit. That's a nice ring, don't you think? Oh, Bob?
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King.
And Tiny Tim did not die. He grows bigger and stronger every day. Tim was absolutely right when he said that he would one day throw away his crutch. He no longer needs a crutch at all. He is such a wonderful kid. He's just Tim now, no longer Tiny. In fact, he's the power forward on the Bloomfield High basketball team. First team of Finger Lakes West Conference in his junior year. Scrooge has seen every one of his games, cheering louder than any cheerleader ever dared. He has tried to be like family to Tim and to his brothers and sisters, all of whom call him Awesome Uncle Ebby, much to his delight. Yes, Scrooge keeps Christmas now, and he tries, really tries, to live it all year long. He keeps the spirits of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future in his heart and on his sleeve. And, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.
This concludes the WBRC production of the Jingle Bell Radio Hour and tonight's performance of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, brought to you by the Bloomfield Rotary Club and Stan Steel Agency.
When you need insurance for your home, your life, your car, call Stan Steel Agency, they're the best by far. 657-6101, Bloomfield.
Please join us next week when we will present the delightful screwball comedy, That One Crazy New Year's Eve in Ionia. From all of us here at WBRC, the very happiest of holidays to you and yours. Thank you and good night.